Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope this video is finding you doing well. Today we're going to be talking about the Ascent yet again, which came out late last week and had some issues upon launch, which it is still suffering from. A lot of people reporting issues with the Windows Store or the Game Pass version of the game, which many people, myself included, got at no extra charge with the base version of the Microsoft Game Pass, which is just $5. So pretty excited to be able to get a chance to play the game. However, it had some missing features on that, which I covered in a video last week. And there's also a Steam version of the game, which does have some of those features in the game. And thankfully, over the course of the weekend, I was able to get a Steam key provided out by NVIDIA to try out the ray tracing and DLSS features, which were not working on the Windows Store version of the game, but do work on the Steam version. So we're going to talk about that, and we're also going to talk about the issues that are plaguing even the Steam version of the game, because right now there is no perfect version of the Ascent. Even though this is a very good game, it has a lot of issues with both versions. So we're going to talk about all of that, what the developers have said so far, and what they're going to be fixing, because they have actually come out and made a couple of different statements in various different locations about what they're doing to fix the game, what they're aware of, and all of that stuff. So we're going to get fired right into all of that, as well as, you know, some fixes that I've seen online that I've tried myself that really haven't worked a whole lot, but we're just going to kind of cover everything that's going on around the Ascent launch and what's coming as far as fixes are concerned. But first, today's video is brought to you by Prime Tech Mart, where you can grab software products like Windows 10 Pro licenses for extremely cheap. They've also got Office products and Visio, as well as many more. You can save a lot of money on these keys with something like Windows 10 Pro. You can grab for just $21.43. It's a lifetime activation, so you don't ever need to renew it. You don't need to create an account with them in order to be able to buy it, and you get your key in just a matter of seconds. And if you hit up the links down in the description below and you want to save yourself an additional 20% off of any software over there, just go ahead and use my code JP20 at checkout, apply that, and it'll drop down 20%. So here on Windows 10 Pro for $21, you drop that down to $17, and you're fully activated for life. For more information, check out those links down in the description below along with the coupon code. So all the gameplay you'll be seeing during this video was captured on the Steam version of the game. I already did a video last week, as I said, covering the Windows version of the game, which had missing features. It had ray tracing built into the menu of the game, but it did not have DLSS. And even if you used ray tracing on the Windows Store version of the game, it wouldn't do anything at all. That wouldn't change the performance or the visuals of the game in any way. And also, even if you tried to switch the game over to DirectX11, which doesn't support ray tracing anyway in this game, but if you tried to switch the game to DirectX11 to see if that can alleviate any other issues, it also would not go into DirectX11. It would say you need to restart the game for DX11 to take effect, but then you would restart the game and it would still be in DirectX12. So the Windows Store version of the game is a complete shit show. Features won't turn on. It has features missing. Yes, you can get it for basically free if you've got the Game Pass, but other than that, I cannot advise anyone to play this game on the Windows Store unless it's, you know, their free copy basically from Game Pass, which is a lot of people out there that happen to have that. Now, there's also the Steam version of the game, which does at this point in time seem to be the superior of the version of the game, because you can at the very least enable all the features of the game, including DirectX 11, which does run a fair bit better than DirectX 12, although it is definitely not perfect by any means. But if you want to use those juicy ray tracing features, then you have to use DirectX 12, although DLSS does seemingly work in DirectX 11 if that's all you want to go ahead and use to get a boost in your performance. Although, honestly, without ray tracing, this game runs pretty well. Even at native 4K, well, not even on my 3080 Ti, on a 3080 Ti, it runs great at 4K native resolution, everything maxed out besides ray tracing. So the game does seem to be fairly well optimized in that respect, as it'll run okay without ray tracing and DLSS and stuff on, but it still has a lot of stuttering issues. And those stuttering issues are, I would say, most prevalent in DirectX 12, and that is kind of what the developers have spoken up about so far, and also the other things that they're going to work on fixing, like the ray tracing and DLSS being in the UWP or Windows Store version of the game. So the first note from the developer I will share with you guys comes from over on the Steam forums from over the weekend, where a lot of people were complaining about the issues with the stuttering on the game, and one of the developers actually responded saying that we are working on a fix for the stuttering as we speak. It's the shaders caching. So it happens the first time something new triggers in certain cases. And me and my buddy who played this in co-op over the weekend noticed this as well in DirectX 12 as well as DirectX 11. Although, as I said before, it was worse in DirectX 12. DirectX 11 seemed to sort of cache things better. So when we first started into the campaign on DirectX 11, the first time we exploded a red barrel, for instance, the game would stutter massively for a couple of seconds. But then as we blew up more red barrels of the same type, we would notice that it would not happen anymore. It wouldn't trigger this stuttering effect that would happen the first time any of these new effects were happening on screen. Most notably, I would say explosions, or also the use of some special abilities. If you're using any of your character abilities that have a visual effect on screen that might show up for the first time, the game will sort of stutter as it loads that into the cache. And then sort of resolves it. Now, there have been some fixes that have cropped up over the weekend as far as disabling things like Steam Cloud, which if you can do, if you go on Steam, go ahead, right-click on your game in there and go into Properties. And under the General tab, you'll see a checkbox here by default, Keep Game Saves in the Steam Cloud for the Ascent. Now, I have this turned back on because I prefer to have my saves backed up, and also because I tried disabling it to see if that would fix the stuttering issues in DX11 and DX12, but sadly it did not. But if you want to, I'm mentioning how to do it, so you can go ahead and try it for yourself in the meantime to see if it does happen to fix the stuttering issue for you, because there have been varying degrees of success with disabling the Steam Cloud saves for the Ascent on the game. So that may or may not resolve the stuttering for you, but for me, it personally did not. So as I said, that the stuttering in the game is improved a bit by using DirectX 11. At least it seems to cache better. But even after playing for a session for a little while, as you could see walking through this area here, it had some stuttering issues as I was going down certain streets and stuff that I had not been down before yet in the game, because it had to cache those. So still not perfect, but on making second and third passes through the streets, this should be resolved. But even in combat in DirectX 11, there were still a lot of frame drops. So as of this point in time, neither version of this game is perfect. So it's a hard one to recommend anyone spend any money on, unless you get the free version on Windows Store, which is sadly the worst version of the game. There was another reply from Neon Giant over on Twitter. Someone by the name of Chris B tweeted out, "Shame the Game Pass version is broken. Ray tracing doesn't work even though it says it's on. DLSS is disabled, and the difficulty settings available on the Steam version are not included. It also takes over twice as long to load a level as the Steam version of the game," which Neon Giant replied back, said, "We are working on bringing them up to parity. The level load is news to me, though. Thanks for bringing that to my attention." And upon reading this, that's news to me as well. I did hop back on it. I didn't notice anything different as far as the levels taking longer to load, which Crispy had mentioned, or the fact that it was missing difficulty settings on the Windows Store version. So I'll have to take his word for that. But it just kind of seems like the Windows Store version was very rushed out, or almost like the Windows Store was given maybe like an older build of the game, or something along those lines, or maybe the one that Microsoft approved for the Windows Store was not the same version that was approved for Steam, maybe through either lack of quality control or stricter quality control in a way, if they found that certain features like ray tracing and DLSS maybe weren't ready yet for prime time. Maybe they found issues there and decided to not approve it for the store, but I feel like that would have maybe come to light if that was the case. It just sounds like Neon Giant is trying to work on the issues and get them sorted out in the meantime, but right now, the game stutters a lot. It's still a lot of fun, though. The game itself, it's like just the actual gameplay, super fun. Love the setting. Love the cyberpunk vibe, the twin-stick shooter, RPG elements, all of that. This is definitely not a perfect game, even not talking about the performance issues. There's a lot of, I would say, really, really, really bad UI choices. Like, some of the user interface stuff is so awful. Like, why doesn't the game have a mini map? I mean, it has an area where a mini map should be, but it's really more of a mini radar. And anytime you want to actually see where you're going, you have to bring up the map on this whole separate screen. And then that's sort of difficult to navigate, because I don't think it does a very good job of separating like the levels of like, what's up a floor, what's down a floor. Everything kind of seems like it's on the same plane, and it just leaves a lot of it up for guesswork. And it gets very frustrating when you're trying, especially when you're in the cities, like the Node or Cluster 13, and you're trying to find your way to like a shop or something like that. If it's early on when you played the game and you don't know where everything is yet, it could be very difficult to navigate towards these things with just the mini radar that doesn't show, like, you know, the shapes of the streets and stuff, like, so I can know that there's a turn coming up or a dead end. Anything like that on the screen would be a hell of a lot more helpful. And also the map is bad, and a lot of the user interface elements as far as the icons are like you need like a decoder basically to figure out what most of the stuff is in the game. I feel like I'm learning Photoshop all over again. But all of this stuff that are issues with this game, I feel like can be fixed, can be addressed or updated. And overall, I still am enjoying the game. I'm still enjoying playing it co-op, and I've wanted to play it every day since Friday, since the game came out. Every morning I've woken up, I'm like, man, I just want to play more of the Ascent, even with all of the issues it has, because the art style is so great, and like there's so much detail in the world. It's so just saturated with tons of detail. It's like this game is more cyberpunky than Cyberpunk itself. It definitely has more character models on screen than Cyberpunk ever did in the cities. Man, those promises failed, didn't they, CD Projekt Red? But that's all I've got for you guys today. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. As I said, this game is great. You really need to wait for a patch for it to get sorted out. Because I feel like if this game had more polish, they could have charged more than $30 for it. I would have gladly paid 40 or 50 bucks for this game if it came out with better user interface, better map, better inventory systems, and, you know, a little bit more polish in terms of what features were missing here or there. And even then, I wouldn't have been even mad if I had to buy the Steam version. Thankfully, I got a code from NVIDIA for that, but I was always planning on playing the Windows Store version since it's free to me with the Game Pass. And, you know, I'll play the Steam version in DirectX11 because that at least seems to be the best version for me to play on right now. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'll catch you guys next time for another video.